Alright, so this video is all about bead hooks for steelhead fishing. I'm going to share with you what I believe to be the best bead fishing hook, the BLOODRun SKEENA, and explain a recent change they made in their sizing. I'm going to share with you the knot that I use to pre-tie my leaders and why, and then I'm going to show you how I carry those leaders while I'm fishing. So let's get started. So bead fishing has become the most popular method of targeting steelhead, and for the last several years I've been working to perfect how I use them. I've experimented with some different riggings and have found that the tangle-free method is the best way to have success. If you're not familiar with that method, I'll post a link to a video above that further explains it. I'll also provide you with a diagram that you can save to your phone for future reference. So now let's talk hooks. When I first started bead fishing, I tried a number of different hooks and ultimately discovered the BLOODRun SKEENA, and I haven't looked back. They're a straight shanked hook similar to an owner mosquito, but they have slightly thicker wire. I've never had one bend out while fighting a steelhead. They're sharp, but they're fairly inexpensive. A 25 pack is $6.99 and a 100 pack is $23.99. And that's important because if you're fishing beads properly, you're gonna get hung up and you're gonna lose hooks. So cost is important. So now let's talk sizing. So in 2023, BLOODRun had run out of the two sizes that I use the most, the size 1 and size 2. So in November, when they restocked, I ordered 100 of each. And when I received them, I quickly realized that the sizing was slightly off. So the new 2 looked more like a 1, and the new 1 looked like a 1/0. So I busted out some of my old packs and realized that that was the case. So I messaged BLOODRun and asked them if they made an error in packaging or if they had resized their hooks, and they told me it was the latter. So they had resized their hooks to be more consistent with other manufacturers, and that's a good thing, but it's just important to know. So in the old days, I would have told everybody to size up one hook size in BLOODRun. So let's say if you're fishing a number 4 mosquito owner hook, you'd want to fish a number 2 BLOODRun, and you no longer have to do that. They're consistent with owner and other hook manufacturers. So what I did is all of my new packages, I just made sure to write the date on the back just so that I don't get them mixed up at a glance. So moving on to knots, I tie all of my leaders with an egg loop because it's an easy knot for me to tie. I've been tying it since the beginning of my steelheading career, and it's extremely strong. Plus, it causes the tip of that hook to slightly be cocked inward, and I think that helps with hook sets. I'm going to demo how I tie an egg loop. This isn't necessarily an instructional video. There's probably better ones out there, but I'm just going to tie one up and show you how I store them in these pips boxes for carrying on the river. So now I'm going to show you how I get set up to tie leaders. You want to start out with a tape measure. I just lay that out on the table. You want at least 42 inches. You want your leader. I'm going to be using 15-pound test Seeger STS. The rivers have been kind of high, so I'm going to be sizing up a little bit. I have some of the old size 1/0 SKEENA hooks. So this is the current size 1, but I'll be fishing 14 or 16 millimeter beads with these hooks. You want some BNR T-stops. You can buy them individually or they come with BNR beads. You want some labels, your pips box. That's how you're going to store your leaders. A Sharpie and a pen for labeling, and some clippers. Alright, so we'll start with 42 inches of line. Now I like a 30-inch leader, and the reason you want to go up in size and line is as you tie an egg loop, it's going to shorten your leader due to the wraps. So I'm going to take one of the SKEENA hooks. Now again, this is just a demo of how I tie the egg loop. So I take the hook, put the leader through the eye of the hook in this direction from the bottom, and then you hold with your offhand along the shank of the hook with this hand. So now you do 7 tight wraps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, it's important to keep those wraps tight, so I'm going to use these fingers to kind of hold on to that. I'm going to take the leader, wrap it around, and go through the opposite direction of the eye. Only about 1 inch, and then I'm going to lay that leader against the shank of that hook. Hold everything tight, grab it with your offhand while holding that leader tight. Now I'm going to do 7 more wraps around the shank of the hook and the leader as well. These ones are a little bit lighter. You don't want to do them too tight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So keep everything tight, hold all of those loops. Now here, it's important you kind of end up with this mess. Don't let your line get kinked. It'll kind of create a weak spot in your line. So unwind that. Now I end up using my mouth to kind of hang on to this so it doesn't get twisted. But you want to grab that tag end that's sticking out of the eye. And just pull that through until it's tight. And there's your egg loop. So you want to trim that pretty short. Now I take one of the B&R T-stops because I pre-staged these. You can also put a bead on at this point if you want to, but I like to choose my bead when I'm on the river for different sizings and different colors. So you pull that on there. There's just basically a little loop in these T-stops. You put your line through there and you just pull the T-stop right onto your line. So I wet the line just a little bit. That makes sliding the T-stop down just a little bit easier. Again, try to avoid getting any kind of kinks in your line. Now I peg my beads about 1.5 inches to 2 inches above the hook, but for purposes of storing them, I just go ahead and slide that down pretty close to the eye of the hook. So now what I do is I take my leader and at 30 inches, that's why the tape measure comes in handy, I make a mark with a Sharpie because I have found that 30 inches is kind of the magic length. And that way on the river, that Sharpie mark, I can pull my leader through my swivel and I can tie it right at 30 inches. But if I want to tie it shorter, let's say I want a shorter leader, like a 2-foot leader, I can look at that and go, okay, that's 30, so right here is probably somewhere around 24 inches. Okay, so this is kind of a little bit kinked right here. I'm going to cut that off. You want at least about 6 inches to be able to tie your knot. So now I'm going to take one of my pips boxes. Now, how these work, the old ones have cork, the new ones have kind of a foam. So these are the ones that you're going to see. I just was at Bimart today, these are $9.99. But I'll put some links below. I don't know what the Amazon price is, but again, $9.99 at Bimart. So you take your hook, you line up these slots. So like so. And these leader holders will hold about 6 to 8 comfortably with 30 plus inches of line. So you just kind of put your hook into the cork or into the foam, and these have like a little tab on them. Put that in the slot and you just roll those right up into the pips box, just like so. And that way you can pre-tie a bunch of different sizes of hooks, different leader weights, and have those always ready for you. Just like that. Now, I put these little labels on my pips boxes so that I can mark the date, just so I know how old they are. So I'm going to put 1 of 24, so just the month and the year. I'm going to put 30 inches, 15-pound STS, and I'm going to put number 1 BLOODRUN SKEENA. So it's going to look like that. So that way I can have a bunch of leaders pre-tied and I know what sizes of hooks and what weight of line each one is. And I just keep those in my tackle bag. And that way I can just throw these in my chest pack while I'm fishing. So if you want to save a copy of the tangle-free method diagram, I'll post it on my Rage Fishing Facebook page and on Instagram at Steelhead Rage. If you have any questions whatsoever, leave them in the comment field below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. If you're not subscribed, consider subscribing. Hit the bell so you don't miss future videos. If I earned it, give me a thumbs up. That really helps me out. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.